All right, old school NBA fans, self-researched NBA facts. I got another video here. I want to get back into the stuff that matters to me, stuff that I like to do. Been doing some of the comparing the old school versus the new school stuff, and it's really isn't a comparison to me. It's just two different eras. Doesn't matter what you like. I'm not even going to get into that. I just mean that the era from 2016 to now is just completely different, and it's really uncomparable to previous eras. It just is. For many variety of reasons, I made about 3 or 4 videos explaining my perspective on why I think that you just can't fairly compare the two. But I'm going to get into 2 players that did play in the previous era. 2 guys that careers were cut short by injuries and illnesses and whatnot, and one of them is Bill Walton. As you guys know, he passed away over the weekend, and I felt compelled to mention it. Bill Walton was a UCLA legend. As great as Lou Alcindor was in college, Bill Walton might have been even better. I mean, he was unbelievable. That long winning streak. Just a great college career. I mean, if you don't know about Bill Walton on UCLA, you need to look into it, because it was unbelievable when he was on that team. Now, his NBA career is tough because it was riddled with injuries, shortened seasons, where he'd miss 20 games, 30 games, 50 games, missed, 2 years in a row once. Kind of reinvented himself sort of in the 80s as, a little older player, 6th man of the year he grabbed one year. I don't know how he got to be a top 75 player, and I don't want to speak ill of the dead at all. I still think that was a mistake, that there was players that deserved it more. I know people threw Tracy McGrady's name out there. Dwight Howard's name was mentioned. Also, I think somebody even said Klay Thompson, and I'm thinking, those names are all fine and good, but I got a guy whose trajectory was very similar to Bill Walton, same sort of situation, and that's Alonzo Mourning. He never gets the love, never. And what I saw that guy do, especially at his peak, I mean, he was just amazing. And this was in an era where there were some great centers, and this guy did some amazing things. I'm going to get into that. So Bill Walton, he played parts, of 7, 8 seasons, whatever. He never started over 65 games in a year. He just never did. He was always hurt. His knees, his legs, his whatever, he was always hurt. Now, he did manage to lead the league in rebounds once and blocks once. Now, again, he didn't play 82 games, though. He didn't even play 70 games. But he did. He had 3 blocks per game twice. Alonzo Mourning led the league in blocks 2 times. He had 3+ blocks 4 times in his career. That he averaged 3 blocks or more 4 times in his career. Bill Walton was a 66% career free throw shooter. Alonzo Mourning, 69.2. Bill Walton's scoring, he never had any season where he averaged over 19 points a game or more. Alonzo Mourning had 8 seasons that he averaged 19 points a game or more, including 6 of 20 points per game or more. Alonzo Mourning also had 8 seasons of 9+ rebounds. Bill Walton only had 7. They both had 4 seasons of 10+ rebounds. Offensive rebounds, Alonzo Mourning had 5 seasons of 3 or more offensive rebounds. Walton only had 1. Now, Bill Walton only made 2 All-Star teams. A lot of it had to do because he was injured. Alonzo Mourning made 7 All-Star teams. Bill Walton's claim to fame was that 77-78 2-year period. 77, Bill Walton finished second in MVP, won the championship in '77, and then he beat Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, swept him actually. They were the 1 seed, and then beat Dr. J in the finals in 6 games. So that was a great run, no doubt about it. Shocked a lot of people. Then in '78, Bill Walton won the MVP, but he wasn't around for the playoffs. They lost in the first round. I think he did play parts of 2 games. He gave it a shot, but they just, they couldn't make it. They were, even though they were the 1 seed, didn't matter. They got beaten 6 games in the first round, went home packing. Now, Alonzo Mourning, he won in 2000. He won the gold medal for USA. Not anything uncommon during that time period. But Alonzo Mourning in 1999, where he was at his pinnacle, he was first team All-NBA. And anybody who was around in that time period knows that was a very hard thing to do, because you had David Robinson, you had Mutombo. I think Ewing was pretty much at the end, though. He was, I think, definitely past his prime. The third team was Keem Olajuwon. Second team was Shaq. But Alonzo Mourning was first team All-NBA in 1999. He was also first team All-Defense center. And again, you had Robinson, Mutombo, Akeem, Shaq. All these guys were good two-way players. And the fact that he did that was amazing. He finished second in MVP that year, which I think he probably should have won. They gave it to Karl Malone, but I would have given it to Alonzo Mourning. And then 2000, he finished third in MVP. So he has 2 top 3 MVPs, and Bill Walton had 2 top 3 MVPs. Alonzo Mourning in his rookie season, this was his line. And he didn't win Rookie of the Year because of Shaq. They came out in the same draft, the 92 draft. But his rookie year, Alonzo Mourning had averaged 21 points a game, 10.3 rebounds, 3.5 blocks on 78.1 free throw shooting. I think it was 52.1% from the field. Very good rookie season. The previous year, they only won 31 games, and they had Larry Johnson even, Kendall Gill. These guys were pretty good, young players. But when he came in, they immediately won 13 more games, 44-38, and there was no other addition, no significant addition to this team. Wasn't one of those situations. And they actually were the 5 seed and upset Boston in 4 games, who was the 4 seed. I know the 4-5 is always a minor upset. Nowadays, there is no upset in seeding, because you really don't know who's better because of all the load managing and whatnot. But that's what it looked like in his rookie year. Now, Alonzo Mourning's first 8 seasons, he averaged 21 points a game, 10.1 rebounds, and 3.1 blocks. I mean, that's awesome. I mean, that's an awesome line right there. Not many people, that's an Akeem Olajuwon type line. It's in that kind of range. Maybe not quite, but, just a little bit below what, those kind of numbers. And from 96 to 98, the Miami Heat, 61-21 in 97. That was the pinnacle. That was the best team he was on. But, of course, they ran into the Bulls. The Bulls, won that three-peat 96 to 98. Did you know, between 96 and 98, when the Bulls played Miami, they lost all 4 games at Miami during that time period. Including the playoffs, the Bulls were 2-5 at Miami. And that was Alonzo Mourning. He was the best player. He was the one that, kind of led the charge there. Now, they lost in 96 and 97, yes. No doubt Bulls were just a much better team. But not in Miami. Not in Miami. Alonzo had a lot of pride. Very good two-way player. I was just looking up that, he was a career, I think 63% or something like that. He was over 50% shooting between 16 feet and the 3-point line. Like, he had that 15 to 20 foot jump shot, no doubt. For a big guy, he was a good shooter. He would have been fine in today's era. He could have played. His defense, there's no center playing defense like Alonzo Mourning. You think Rudy Gobert is a good center? Alonzo Mourning, you're not getting anything in that paint easily. You know, if you do get anything, you're going to have to bring it, because Alonzo was not going to let you do anything easy. But I just think overall resume, you know, Alonzo Mourning suffered a serious kidney injury after the 2000 season, after the Olympics actually, and he thought maybe his career was over. And ever since then, he just he played like 15, 20 minutes a game. He couldn't go all out anymore. Even with that said, in the 2005-2006 season, on the Miami Heat, he backed up Shaq. But Shaq got injured, so he ended up having to start some games. This guy only played 20 minutes a game, and he still finished 8th in Defensive Player of the Year in 06 at 35 years old. I think he was 35 or 36 maybe even 37. I think he was born in 88, so he would have been about 37 years old. And he finished 8th in Defensive Player of the Year, playing 20 minutes a game on the nose, which I thought that was pretty incredible actually. It was quite obvious Alonzo Mourning definitely would have been a top 75 player if it weren't for his illness. I think that I'd put him in over Bill Walton. That's just me. I think he had a good enough career. He was a very good player, you know. His first 8 seasons before the injury, like I said, 21 points, 10 rebounds, and 3 blocks. You look up most centers in that era, and that's going to be, only people beating that is probably going to be somebody like a Shaq or an Olajuwon, maybe a Moses Malone, maybe something like that. But I mean, his numbers rival that of Robert Parrish. If it weren't for all the winning, I think I'd put even Alonzo over Parrish. But because his career was cut short, you can't really put him in ahead of those kind of guys. But Bill Walton, absolutely. Now remember, this is not a top 75 list of just players in their whole basketball career. This is specifically their NBA career. And I believe Alonzo Mourning should have been in over Bill Walton. Now you could argue Dwight Howard, he actually had a longer career. He kind of fizzled out after about 8, 9, 10 years or whatever it was. But it was pretty obvious that Mourning would have kept bringing it. That 06 season told me a lot, when he was still averaging like 10 points, 5 rebounds, and over 2 blocks in 20 minutes a game, and finished 8th for Defensive Player of the Year. Won his one and only championship that year. Told me that guy would have been, he would have been a top 10 all-time center, maybe even like top 7 or 8. I mean, he had that kind of talent, no doubt. But anyway, that's about it for this video, and rest in peace, Bill Walton. Thanks for watching.